First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler, and here with a special guest today. So if this is your first time tuning in, this is our live digital show. We go live usually around 1 p.m. every day, every weekday, and we get to talk about, a lot of things. We get to go in depth with some of the news stories that you've seen, that you've heard about. We have interviews, and we have special guests, like my coworker here, Will Metzel, joining us. Thank you, Will, for being here today.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be on this live stream.
Yeah, and I'll just give you the behind the scenes. You know, this is Fox 12 Now. Like I said, we're at the Fox 12 Oregon headquarters. This is the newsroom behind us. Will's desk is actually right over there, so really he's almost on this every day anyway.
Didn't have to walk far.
Yeah, you've probably seen him in the background, but now he's here in front of the camera with us. But we are talking about something that's actually pretty serious as well. You know, you've noticed how nice the weather has been, which is fantastic, but also something here in the Northwest that we're all too familiar with are wildfires. Usually not this early, though, it seems like, and that's something different this year.
Yeah, it sure is. This past weekend was really probably the greatest risk that we had. It was really, really hot. We had
the 90s and
that extremely hot weather for the middle of May. That lasted for a few days, and the wind also was much higher during those days as well, which is just not a great mix for wildfires outside, which can really make a huge impact and cause a lot of devastation in Oregon, as we've seen in past years. But it's just so strange to see that kind of weather and wildfires going on at this time of year. It's
in May.
It doesn't usually happen.
It's May. It's not even summer yet.
Right. And most people just are not in that way of thinking yet at this time of year, and that's important to do really right now because of just the hotter weather that we're seeing. And one place in particular had it especially bad, a bad day for wildfires during that heat wave on Sunday. Banks Fire District was pretty busy going out to those. They had 3 wildfires within 24 hours. So,
wow.
So that is a lot just for one particular area.
Right. That's such a small, section too.
It
just
is.
To have that many.
Yeah, it is. You know, they're out past Hillsboro and cover a lot of that more rural land that does have a lot of vegetation and things out there. But yeah, again, it was a busy day out there, and so I talked to them about kind of what was the main cause of that, what those types of fires were that they were busy with on Sunday, and things that you should do also to make sure that those don't get started at this time of year. So I did a whole story on that, and I know we're gonna take a look.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. So we'll play Will's interview with them, and then come back and talk about some of those prevention techniques and some other things that you found out that, again, this is what we get to do. We get to see what was on the news, and then we get to go deeper with it. So let's go ahead and do this right now. Play Will's interview here.
Jeremy Wills and his daughter were out enjoying a trail in Washington County this week. But he says he also knows the nice weather can present wildfire risks.
Well, it has gotten kind of warm, and you definitely can feel the wind where it's gotten dry.
Scott Adams with the Banks Fire District says you need to start thinking about wildfire danger now, and that the season is starting much earlier than normal.
What normally would have been able to handle a spark or some ashes drifting off into the woods or off into the brush this time of year is just not capable of it.
Firefighters in Banks saw this firsthand over the weekend. They responded to 3 wildfires within 24 hours, including one about 2 acres in size in forest land caused by downed power lines.
This last weekend has seen several large wildfires. We were on several burn piles that were out of control. We were on a wildfire up in the forest lands.
Adams says you should be thinking about end-of-season fire conditions now. He says to be aware of what could start a fire and have defensible space around your home.
We're asking that the public that's out there not be burning those brush piles, not be burning those backyard burns.
Wills says for him, it's already time to start watching for wildfire danger.
You see the little signs in front of the fire stations, and they have the little indicator, the marker of where to concern.
Can you move the camera just a hair to the right? Hair towards Greg.
All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry, you caught me. I was moving the camera while we were coming back there. But yeah, so I think that's really interesting taking a look at what they were going through. These firefighters, again, having it come this early.
Right. Right. It surprised them. It made them take a step back and kind of evaluate things, look at what is happening at this time of year, what these fires were, what kind of fires they were, and just what the message needs to be to the public at this point.
Right, and it sounds like a lot of people, well, I mean, I guess let's talk about these specific fires that they were dealing with. You know, the cases for
there were a few different things that they had going on. So they had a few people that were burning on their own property, the burn piles that we can typically see in the springtime and early summer, but they were just that kind of risk at that time.
Right. Well, I mean, you have wind going too in that hot weather, and you're starting a fire, and if you're not really paying attention to it.
Yeah, that's kind of the situation here. Is whatever was burning just jumped a bit out of the main area there, and it got to a point where they needed the firefighters to come out and help put them out. So those kinds of things can really be a danger and be a big risk that you would not normally think at this time of the year. I mean, what he was telling me there was this is a common time that people kind of get that kind of stuff out of the way. Is right after the spring. We did have a lot of rain. Right,
you think it's all wet and fine, but
but he's saying this is just not a time to do that, which you don't think about. He said people normally feel good about doing that through Memorial Day and even early June, but again, you can just see the consequences it can have if it just escapes a few feet outside of where you're intended it to be.
Right, and it could just absolutely spin out of control real fast. I mean, and that's again something we are used to wildfires here in the Northwest when it comes to later in that season, but even then, just over the last few years, I feel like it's just become more and more. We should all be aware of it, but something that's probably just a habit that they do every year. You set that burn pile, you get rid of debris or whatever, and now you really have to pay a lot more attention to it.
Yeah, no question. And they just want everybody to think about what the weather is doing to that fire risk.
Yeah.
When you get it where it's in the upper 80s into the low 90s for multiple days in a row, it's starting in the 80s, gradually building up like that, and you get that really gusty wind too.
Yeah.
You just know that can be the recipe for these fires to start. No matter if it is May or spring or June, it's going to have to be in your thought process if you're outside doing some kind of fire burning activity like that. They just want you to be aware.
Yeah, I mean, one little ember can do it too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's something that just blows away like that. Yeah, it's just there's just too much risk.
That's it, and the grass grows really tall, for sure at this time of year because of the rain.
Yeah, because of all that rain. Yeah, this huge vegetation that's instantly being dried out by that hot weather. Yeah.
But then you get the wind coming through it and it's dried out and it's a wildfire threat. So it's I think it was a wake up call.
Yeah.
Right for especially this fire district.
And thankfully it doesn't sound like anything got too crazy because they were able to put them out.
Yeah, luckily the one that he was talking about there and we had pictures of also was burning kind of far out near the town of Timber, which is a really small town out in Washington County, but that was one that was hard to get to. So it was important for them to get there as quickly as they could because it's kind of far away from a lot of the resources, but they were able to get in there, which was nice. Get their firefighters to it and make sure it was limited. It was about 2 acres in size, so that's a pretty good fire starting. And it could grow, more than that.
Oh yeah.
But luckily they were able to get into that and get to all of these as fast as possible.
Well, thankfully, they were able to. Anything else? What else did you learn from this interview, or maybe going forward?
Yeah, plenty of things. I mean, a lot of the Oregon fire departments are preparing for wildfire season right now, and that's what they said they're doing.
Is that earlier than normal for them?
I think they are. Yeah. From what I take, they are doing some of their practice for getting out there and fighting in wildfire areas, in kind of the country rural areas right now.
Gotcha.
So they're making sure that if that call comes out, that they're going to be able to get it out and be there and do what they need to do. So actually, when I was out there, I saw them doing some of this, just kind of
Really?
preparing for how they would fight a wildfire. Yeah, doing the,
Wow.
You have to drag the hose directly from, your little wildfire fighting truck there, your rig, which is a little bit different than your typical huge fire engine because
Right.
they can connect to a hydrant, but this one, it's all on board that truck. So you have to drag your hose a little bit further. It's a little bit different technique. So they're practicing drilling, they call it officially right now. They also said that they have money from the Oregon State Fire Marshal's office to add one more full-time firefighter, wildfire firefighter for this summer.
Wow.
So I think the state is starting to think about this too and getting those people in the right places.
And putting more of those resources in place for them. Yeah.
Right. And then one other thing that's hugely important for many places around here is making sure you have the defensible space set up around your house, and making sure that anything that's kind of more prone to burning, that's dead, or very dry, gets cleared, and you pick that up from around your house, because that's just going to make your house so much more at risk to possibly catching fire.
Even just, we're talking about this. We're talking about wildfire season being here early and prevention measures, and I'm thinking about, these people, they're burning their burn piles and all that. Just be careful with that. I didn't even think about that in my own house. Yeah, I should be preparing myself. Getting that debris up, because I still have some leaves. I didn't get all my leaves up, and there are some dry leaves right next to my house, and I'm thinking about that right now.
Yeah,
I know what I'm doing this weekend.
This is the time.
Yeah, I got to get that out of there.
Yeah.
So see, it's these are all things, no matter that we should all be thinking about, no matter where you are, because none of us want to see a wildfire. It's probably going to happen, but as much prevention as possible.
Yeah.
Let alone in the city too, and just around your house. And
yeah, no question. And again, if you maybe have one that gets out of control, there could be others, and you just don't want it to get too stressful, too much of a workload for firefighters, for yourself. There's just so many dangers that can cause.
Well, and at the end of the day, there's a lot of resources in there, but there's only so many resources to fight these, and if there's too many at once. Or like you mentioned, that really remote one where they have to send a lot out there to try to get that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've got to keep that in mind if you're in an area where it could be a little bit longer for them to get to you, because every second counts.
Man. So what did they say? As far as like the rest of the season, since we're starting so early, what does this mean for the rest of the summer?
Right. Yeah. I think they want you to just kind of think about wildfire mode right now, basically. I think it's hard to say exactly what the season will look like, because it is dependent on those heat waves that come sporadically at this time of year. Like we just had one last week. They could. You don't know when the next one will be here, but they could also be happening through June and July for sure. And that can make it more prolonged dry weather. A lot of times, as you know, in August and September, it is going to be like that, just because that's how the weather tends to be. That's how it changes at that time of year. But at this time of year, just kind of be aware for those points where it kind of like it goes hot for a few days, hot and windy. And you get those conditions at this time. And
start thinking about that and preparing and getting leaves away from the side of your house. So
that's your reminder.
That is my reminder. That's something I'll be doing. Well, I know you've got more to at kptv.com, of this entire story. Anything else that you want to add in, or just direct people there? Whatever you want. We can go. This is what we do here with Fox 12 Now. We can do deeper dives like this. So.
I can't think of too much, but I would encourage you to check out the full story.
Okay.
on KPTV.com under Fox 12 Originals.
Yeah.
Very easy to get to, and you can spend as much time as you want to looking at the wildfire reminders and things, safety reminders, things you should keep in mind for the rest of this summer as we go into it, and all the other stories that I've done as well.
There are lots of them there. Will, thank you very much for joining us here too. So this is cool.
Yeah, for
joining
sure.
us by the 5 feet that we made it over. But
Yes, for sure.
we still have more though here for this episode of Fox 12 Now. So what I'm going to do next is actually play from Katie, one of our meteorologists, talked about the weather this summer and the El Nino possibility, and it's looking more and more like that is going to happen, and that can actually, in a way, tied directly into what we're talking about here with wildfires because of the drier weather. So I'm going to play that for you, but also coming up, I did speak to the Oregon Department of Forestry about some of the things they're doing and some of the fires they're actually already fighting. We sent a bunch of Oregon firefighters actually up to Alberta, so we're going to be talking about that coming up too. So there's a lot here, but let's go ahead and hear from Katie here first. Will, thank you.
No problem.
We'll play this from Katie, and then I'll be right back with you.
According to NOAA's Climate Prediction Center, we're currently in an ENSO neutral phase. This means we're not in El Nino or La Nina. NOAA recently published a report that's updated that says that there's a 90% chance we will transition into the El Nino phase in the next couple of months. And in case you didn't know, El Nino is the warm phase of ENSO, or El Nino Southern Oscillation. This means we will have warmer than average sea surface temperatures develop across the east central equatorial Pacific. And as a reminder, our last 3 winters were in the La Nina phase. Now here's what a typical Pacific jet stream looks like in the winter. In the El Nino phase, that jet stream splits. This results in a potentially drier and warmer winter, which gives us a decent chance to have a mild winter. But we can still get snow and ice events in a mild winter. Basically, El Nino does not mean no snow. Now, here's a list of the last 10 El Nino winters. 3 of them had snowstorms with accumulation from 5 to nearly 9 inches. Not all El Ninos are created equal. NOAA's recent report says a potentially significant El Nino is on the horizon. This typically means more rain in California and the Southwest, with drier and warmer conditions in the Ohio Valley, Rocky Mountains, and the Pacific Northwest. Reporting in studio, Katie Suniga, Fox 12 Oregon.
You're mocking their beliefs? Isn't it nice?
All right, so there we go. So with El Nino being a possibility and looking more and more like it, that's some drier weather, so something else to factor in there, even though it is already pretty dry right now. So we are talking about some different wildfire prevention techniques. That's live on the air, so that just happened right there, so that's great. You know what? This is what happens when we're live streaming, and I won't put my coffee cup there again. Regardless, let's continue on. And talking about wildfire prevention, not spill prevention. Wildfire prevention, though. I did actually speak to Jessica from the Oregon Department of Forestry about some of the dangers that are actually out there already. So this was a conversation from last week, but I think it's definitely still very much relevant right now. Part of what the state of Oregon is doing is sending some wildfire fighters up to Alberta to fight some wildfires that are going on up there. And it's part of a whole exchange system that we have here in the Northwest and with 5 Canadian provinces. And on top of that, we go into different ways to prevent forest fires when you're out camping. You know, if it's nice weather, you want to get back out there camping, we talk about all of that. So let's go ahead and play that one for you right now.
First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
It is a nice day out there right now. Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. You know, with the nice weather, it makes you want to get outside. I know I sure do. I want to get out and get camping, go out into the forest, but it is a good time to remind ourselves that forest fires are a real threat, and you need to be safe out there. And also, there are already some forest fires just to the north of us in Alberta. I think over 100 fires burning right now up there, so much so that there are actually Oregon firefighters up there helping them. So we're going to talk about all of these things things I just covered, but to do this, we're going to be joined right now by Jessica from the Oregon Department of Forestry, who's here with us to talk all about this. Jessica, thank you so much for being here. And, you know, that partnership is something really interesting to me. I know it's been around for 25 years, but I'll be honest, I was unaware of this. And I wonder if you could walk through that and kind of explain to us what that is.
Yes, so the Northwest Compact has been around for about 25 years, and it is compiled of 5 U.S. states and 5 Canadian provinces and territories in the Northwest. And basically, it just makes sharing resources a little bit easier. We're able to call on each other and be partners with each other and share resources.
All right, so having a little bit of a sound issue right there. You know what? It's Friday, and sometimes that stuff happens. But I'll kind of sum up what that is. And that interview is available at kptv.com and on our YouTube channel as well. But basically looking at some of the different ways you can prevent forest fires when you're out camping, and that is making sure that really your fire pit is properly made, properly put out, that being one of the big things. I believe it was drown, stir, drown again. So that means dump water on it, stir it up, then dump more water on it to really kill all those coals in there and put those coals out. So different tips and tricks that you could do right there. So again, you can watch that entire interview at our YouTube channel and at kptv.com. So thanks for watching. What we're going to do is we'll try to get that one back up for you, but we do possibly have some more things coming up for you here today. But this is Fox 12 Now, and I want to remind you that you can send us an email anytime you want and let us know, if there are things that you believe that should be covered, or interviews that you want to hear more about, or maybe there's a news story that you've been watching and following along with from Fox 12 Oregon that you want to find more about. Maybe I can get the reporter on here. We can go deeper in depth with it or answer some questions that you might have. So lots of possibilities with this show. And again, Fox 12 Now live every weekday at 1 p.m. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for watching.